Hello, I'm Claire. I'm a logistics coordinator at RWE. I'm just going to give you a bit of a presentation about the company which I work for and a little bit about myself. So I'm just going to share my screen, a 2-minute video to introduce, and then be back to me speaking. At Triton Knoll, we're in the process of building one of the largest offshore wind farm currently under construction by RWE. We've got 90 turbines to be built, all which stand over 180 metres tall. And once it's generating, it will provide the power for 800,000 homes. It's an offshore wind farm, so it's 20 miles offshore. And at the peak of its activity, it will employ around 3,000 people in various roles. The big thing about renewable energy for me has always been the excitement of being able to work anywhere in this country or globally. And I imagine there's a lot of people who would like to be part of the industry and maybe wonder how there is a place for them within that industry. So I kind of wanted to cover in my presentation all the different types of roles that are available, and some are listed here, but this is not an exhaustive list. So it can vary from anything, obviously the focus of today being in engineering, but there's also the support functions like accounting, logistics and planning, geological, wind turbine technicians is the really big one. There are loads of wind turbine technician opportunities at the moment. The apprenticeships are just starting to be advertised now. I've seen some really good promotional material to do with that on LinkedIn. It's always a good place to follow the companies that you are interested in. I've got a small video here for us to enjoy. There's a lot going on in the North East Lincolnshire area, and I think what is really nice to see, if you're not on the docks every day, actually some of the scale of some of the operations that are going on. So what I've got here is a time-lapse video on the first ever loadout of the SOV operation. So now to a little bit about my career. I'm sure there are many students who maybe didn't achieve what they wanted to in their GCSE results, or they're not quite sure if they picked the right A levels or course. And I was very much one of those people. My exam results were quite average. I was not particularly academic, and I struggled to concentrate when sat for long periods of time with people talking to me. So I kind of had a glass ceiling placed upon me by my environment. My parents just felt like the optimum career choice was working in an office. So I kind of set my expectations around achieving a role just working in an office and not really thinking about what industry that would be in. And so I picked travel and tourism. And actually, I did thoroughly enjoy that. I got to work in some stately homes, do some conference management. Um, and I ultimately ended up ending that career as a box office manager for a local theatre, which I did absolutely love. I loved the theatre, but I was managing the box office, had 12 staff, and worked endless hours for a wage that was never going to be to make me financially independent. And that was a big career driver for me, that I wanted a career that would give me the opportunity to buy my own house, fund my own lifestyle, and not have to rely on other people. So a large manufacturing company built a plant in Barton called Kimberly-Clark, a fantastic employer. To this day, I would still recommend anybody to go and work for them. I knew they were a great employer. I knew they paid really well. So I took a leap of faith and applied, and was successful in quite a rigorous employment process, and started there actually not knowing what role I was going to be doing. So I started my first day as a materials handler, and spent the first 3 days learning to drive a forklift truck. And I actually really, really enjoyed the physical aspect of a job. That had never been something that I thought was important to me. But I just really enjoyed that and being part of a team. I was working in fast moving consumer goods. So I found that my skills as a woman for juggling lots of different tasks and being able to establish priorities was really important. And I was good with IT. So within 18 months, I was actually managing my own team of 18 people. And started to progress quite quickly through that organisation. And one thing I forgot to mention, but I just want to mention here, is I actually doubled my salary to go from fairly at the top of a management career in travel and tourism just to drive a forklift at Kimberly-Clark. So and it was a risk. But then I had the financial independence to go and enjoy the theatre that I loved and actually be able to sit watching it rather than shepherding people in and making sure they had a good time. So quite quickly, because I was really keen, always did 100%, gave everything 100% effort. Even the small tasks, like if we were clearing up the yard in outside, always had loads of enthusiasm and had such a keenness to learn. That once I decided this was the career for me, I formalised that with some qualifications. I did my NEBOSH, I did my supply chain diploma. And when I left Kimberly-Clark, I was actually managing a third-party logistics provider looking after about £18 million worth of stock. And I loved the variation of every day I went in. There were different challenges, lots of work to get done, lots of different people to work with. And unfortunately, they closed their factory, and 500 people were made redundant. And it was quite a stressful time, but I knew I had robust skills, and renewable energy was developing at that time. And I'd pretty much decided that's where I wanted to go. So I started applying, and there was no role at the time. So I actually went to oil and gas, and ended up working at Lindsey Oil Refinery, planning jet fuel deliveries into Heathrow. I got to fly in a helicopter, checking out the pipeline, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then I was lucky that a logistics role came up at Humber Gateway, which is one of RWE's offshore wind farms. They've got 73 wind turbines there. And I was there right from the beginning of the operations and maintenance side of the business. And I really feel like now I have the best job in the world. I've done my GWO qualifications. I climbed a turbine. I get to go offshore, and I've done some work in schools teaching young children about renewable energy. and just trying to engage with those people who might feel like an academic route isn't for them, or they might struggle and not think that they're actually particularly clever. The school environment nurtures a certain amount of clever, but not everything. So now I have a career that makes me financially independent in a robust environment that's seen as be successful and continue to be successful through COVID, because we're an essential supplier. We haven't had to be furloughed or made redundant. So I feel like I now actually am in the best industry in the world. I'm really keen to encourage anybody into the industry for the same reasons. It's very well paid, there's lots of opportunity, just to see the regeneration of Grimsby because of its suitability for wind farms. To see that impact upon our little Grimsby is really nice. I'm a Grimsby girl. So if anybody's ever got any questions, you feel free to make contact with me, particularly on LinkedIn. Some bits of advice that I would give to people looking for roles is set yourself a profile up on LinkedIn and follow all the companies that you're interested in. And there's some links here to some valuable information about careers at RWE, but actually I'm really pro-wind and I actively share Ørsted's apprentice opportunities and Siemens and anything really, because for the days when I get local young people into the industry that have come through the apprenticeship route, it makes me feel really proud. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Claire. That's amazing. What a journey so far, eh?
Yeah, I feel very, very lucky as well. There's an element of luck.
Okay.